Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to break down the fantasy portfolio tool. This tool is one of the tools I probably spent way too much time on, but I wanted to make the best tool that I could possibly make. So I'm excited to jump in. Let's break down how to use the portfolio tool, how to find it, what can we do with it, and everything that goes along with it. As always, support the channel, support the site, but let's jump into it. So first, you will need to create a Dynasty Daddy account and connect leagues. And I have a video about that, but that's what you need to do first. Then what we do is if we can find it over here under leagues and then go to fantasy portfolio, and it'll take a second to load. And what you will see is then a chart of trade value of all the leagues that are currently linked to your account. And then you can scroll down and you see a table of a bunch of information about all the players and all the shares of these players that you own. So let's start at the top and work our way down. At every page that you see one of these, you can click these, and it also provides all the information you have there, as well as if there is a video available for that tool, it'll show up here. We also have the options here for resyncing a portfolio that will reload. So for example, if you just made a trade and you want to see how it shakes up your portfolio, boom, you can do that and it'll resync everything. There's also this verified mark where if you want to do a little bit of sleuthing, you can log into a specific username, see what your friends rostering, all of that, as well as we have reference portfolios of a bunch of creators around the space. So if you want to see, what Ray GQ has in his portfolio, you can also check that out. And then over here is all the leagues linked. And inside here, you will also see options for Dynasty only, redraft only, deselect all. So if you want to select different leagues, so you kind of mix and match which leagues you actually want to show up in this view here. Then as we scroll down, there's two tabs. One is Rostership and then player statuses, but we'll stay on Rostership for now. This will be a trade value table. You can filter different options like how long, 3 months, 1 month, whatever. Then there's also a group by, so you can group by league, so you can see which league has the most value, which leagues are trending in certain ways, by position group. I'm most heavily invested in wide receiver, things like that. There's a bunch of different options there. And then you can also select different fantasy markets. You can do, Dynasty Daddy right now, which is our own proprietary trade values built on real trades and real fantasy football drafts, and that updates every 2 hours. But you can also use KeepTradeCut or whatever other fantasy market that you want. We provide a ton of markets that update every single day. Then down here, this is kind of where the fun starts. We have this table. You can filter different positions. So if you want to be like, oh, I have 2 shares of the Chiefs defense, didn't know that. You can do that. You can also search a player. If I want to be like, okay, here's players that are named White on my roster. I still have a Zamir White, unfortunately. That's kind of what you can do. And then if you click this arrow, it will expand to show you each individual league. So you can see I have 5 leagues here that I have Rashad White in. Then it'll tell you the platform. It'll tell you like if it's redraft, dynasty. Then you can see the QB settings, the number of teams, the number of starters, and if that player is currently on the bench or in your starting spot. And that's kind of where it leads to this, right? When you sync a league, it will pull all your starters and then tell you if you have any inactive starters. So this will apply for injuries like IR, out, doubtful, any statuses that you need to be concerned of. And then also it will pull up any bye weeks. Once bye weeks hit, if it's like, oh, this player's on the bye, but you have him started, what you can do is you can click this link right here, and that will pull you out to that platform. And then that platform, you can go, and say, okay, I'm going to jump to Yahoo real quick and make that change and then come back. So it makes it really easy to plug and play a bunch of different lineups and make sure that you're not starting anyone that is injured or on a bye. So it's a great tool to also help set your starting lineups. Anyway, back down here, you can also see the starting status down here of if they're actually starting. And then also you'll notice over here, we have this value. Basically what it is this is change in price since adding the league. And it'll tell you or change in price since syncing your leagues. Basically what we do is when you sync a league, it will store that record of the player and say, okay, you added this player on this day. Then what we do is we can say, okay, since you've added this player, how has the value changed for this player? So it'll be a little bit different than trend or any of these metrics up here, because you can actually say, well, I got Marvin Harrison Jr. last week, or I got Marvin Harrison Jr., 2 months ago. Like here's an example here. Like I have Marvin Harrison Jr. This one I got 2 days ago from Yahoo, and his value's gone down 2% in those 2 days. And then I test on this account, so I did delete all the leagues and re-add them. But when I re-added my sleeper leagues, Marvin Harrison Jr. has gone down 14% in value since I synced them. And then if you hover over that question mark, it will tell you how many days. So that's been 10 days, and this one's been 2. So it's a fun way to try to track it. Obviously, we don't get the data of like all your leagues, so we just the first time you sync it, that's when we actually can start tracking how long you've held on to these players. Did you buy low and sell high, types of things like that. So it's a fun way to track those metrics as well. You can click the 3 dots, open in platform. So this will open us up sleeper for us in this league, and we can make any changes we want based on that. And then if you click this over here, it will actually just log you into that league in Dynasty Daddy. It doesn't work for all platforms. Yahoo's a bit tricky, but it works for most. Let's talk about the big table. So now we dove into the grains. What does the big table tell us? Well, we got obviously player, position, team. We have the number of shares, and that's sortable, so we can sort by who has the most, who has the least. Also talk about exposure here. So this is kind of based on the running back position group, right? Or like based on all of our rosters, I mean. But based on all of our rosters, my roster's 31% exposed to Rashad White and Rico Dowdle. And a lot of these, like those guys are cheap, so it doesn't matter. But guys like Neighbors, I have a 25% exposure rate, and he's a very expensive player. So it's like, okay, if Neighbors is doing good, then I'm probably doing good type of approach. Then you can see the price of the player in Superflex. You can click this, and it'll change to 1 QB. So it depends, what your league is. And you can also do both if you want to do, Superflex and Standard. And this is based on your fantasy market, of course. And then you also have total value. So you can filter total value. So this will tell you the most, based on all the shares you have, which player are you most invested in. I am Neighbors. I have a lot of Amon-Ra. I have 2 shares of Josh Allen, 2 shares of Jaden Daniels. So it's a good way to kind of say, okay, not only do I have a good amount of shares on Malik Neighbors, I have a ton of value in them. So if something happens to Malik Neighbors and he goes down in value, my portfolio will really take a hit in the value. That's how you can kind of see the value of my portfolio has gone up. It's probably because the value of Malik Neighbors and Amon-Ra and those types of players has risen as other players have fallen down. Another cool one is we have position group percentage, similar to exposure. This is exposure for your position group. So you can see Brock Bowers is 27% of the value in my tight end room. Harold Fannon's 13%. Josh Allen's 11%. It's a fun way to kind of say, okay, not only am I exposed to Brock Bowers 13% across all my leagues, but I have a 27% tight end exposure to Brock Bowers. So you can kind of say maybe I'm too invested in a certain position, and as well, you can obviously filter. So you can say, okay, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels are my most valuable. I have a lot of Michael Penix. That's a little bit concerning, considering his start hasn't been great. But you can kind of, diversify your risk. And then this is trend. So this is a monthly trend. And you can trigger, if you click it, it'll go back and forth between Superflex and Standard. So it's a good way of saying, okay, is this, Jaden Daniels has gone up in Superflex trade value 12%. That's pretty cool. You can also see here, Jaden Daniels has gone up like 11% in Dynasty Daddy trade values. So it's a great way of tracking the change in your individual players, as well as how does that impact the rest of your roster. Last big thing to talk about here on this page is advanced filtering. And here you can build custom queries. So this is if you're like really into it. You can basically build custom queries and filter on so many different things. League platform, position rank, fantasy points, players that, you could say I want fantasy players that only score more than 5 points per game. What's my exposure? Trade value, experience. By default, it's experience equals 0. So you can just apply this filter and it'll show you rookies, right? So, I have these filters on. That's why I was like, I only have 4 rookies. No, but you can see all the rookies. Like, obviously, got a lot of Amarion Hampton, got a lot of RJ Harvey, unfortunately, so far. But you can kind of see all your rookie exposure pretty easily. And then you can click this, and that will clear your filters, as well as we have this 0 share mode. If you toggle that and then click apply, this will show you all the players you have 0 shares of in fantasy. And so you see like a lot of them are like, man, like I wish I did have a Tyler Warren share. I wish I did have a Travion Henderson, things like that. But it's cool to see what players do I have, which players do I not have. So maybe if I'm trying to get a player, I'm like, maybe I should have a Travion Henderson. That would, kind of diversify my running back risk across large portfolios. So that's kind of the general gist of all the portfolio stuff. And then lastly, I just want to show off the player status search. So this is like great for waivers, anything like that. Basically what you do is you search a player and it'll tell you if they are rostered in that league or if they're available. So Carson Wentz, say I'm like, okay, probably should pick him up. He's rostered in a lot of leagues, but he's not rostered in this Appalachian Football League. So I can click on this league and it'll open up that page for me so I can go pick up that player if I want. So it's an easy way to kind of check across all your leagues who is rostered very quickly. But this tool has so much to it. And it's part of the big reason I revamped the entire approach for league management and linking all your leagues. I wanted to make the portfolio tool so robust you don't have to log into everything again, and it pulls in everything and saves your portfolio. So it's a great way to track your exposure, really kind of demystify a lot of like, how do I manage so many leagues without spending literally half a day setting lineups, making sure I'm not starting bad players, finding waiver wire pickups. This tool is the best way to optimize your time when managing multiple leagues. But anyway, that sums up pretty much everything I have. Of course, this tool is free for everyone to use, so definitely check it out. If there's another tool you'd like to see a video breakdown of, comment below and hit subscribe if you want more. And we also do Tuesday night live streams every week at 9 p.m. Eastern, so check those out. Those are always so much fun. And we just break down trades, talk about Dynasty Daddy, talk about fantasy and the NFL with my good friend Will. So it's a great time. And until next time, peace.